guys, welcome to week 13. This is my weekly announcement video. I hope you're all doing okay. Believe it or not, this is our second to last week of the semester, meaning we have this week and then we have next week, which is week 14, which is our final week of the semester. Although it's a slightly extended week because it ends Monday, May 4th, which is the final day of class. So we're here at the end, and I just want to first of all encourage you to keep going, do the best you can, reach out to me and any of the other support systems here at Mercer for help. That would be the library, the tutoring center, online tutoring, or even the success coaches. Okay, so speaking of the library, the first thing that I'm asking you to do this week, if you haven't done it last week, is to reach out to the library, and you can go to their website, and right in the middle you'll see their chat feature, which is a tool for you if you want some extra help with your research. Again, this is an optional assignment, just like I told you last week. But they are there to help if you want some extra help with your research. So you can either chat with them, you can even just email them, or if you'd rather have like a real face-to-face kind of like video conference, you can ask them to do that as well, and they'll do that with you. So there's that, again, optional. All of that is really just to help you on your research log and your research paper. So this week on Wednesday, your second part of research log 3 is due. So that's the list of your sources, that annotated bibliography. So what you'll want to do is make sure that you, by Wednesday, have all your sources, you cite them, and you summarize them. So by midweek, you will have an outline for your paper, which was completed last week as the first part of the research log, and you'll have your sources. What that means is you are now ready to start writing your research paper. I know that sounds scary, but you have everything you need to do it, right? So what I'm asking you to do for the second half of the week is to just start drafting and post whatever you have written onto the discussion forum. Now, I'm being pretty flexible in terms of like how much or how little you have to write by the end of the week. At the very, 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 very least, I'm asking that you have an introduction. And so what I've done this week is given you some strategies for how to open up your paper. So there's a worksheet on that in this week's folder, kind of giving you, I think, maybe 10 or so different strategies that people use to open up their paper. Now, remember, the purpose of an introduction is, first of all, to engage the reader's interest. Second of all, to give some context about your topic. And third of all, to state your argument. What I'm focusing on this week is really that initial part, that hook, that trying to engage your readers, because I think that's where some students get hung up. Like, they literally do not know how to start the paper. Those first few sentences are just so hard because you're staring at a blank screen, right? So I've given you a list of a bunch of different ways to open up. So take a look at those, and you can try any of those strategies, or if you have some other strategy that you prefer to use, please feel free to do that. Writing, I hope I've made this clear this semester, writing is an art, not a science. I give you strategies, I give you, rules to follow, but really in the end, it's an art. Your own mind and your own creativity can come up with anything, to start the paper off. So you'll want to do that. Now, I would highly suggest that you write more than just one introductory paragraph for your paper this week. My suggestion, which I thought was reasonable, is that you write about 3 pages by Sunday this week. Now, that's not that much. I mean, if you have your outline, you have your sources, hopefully that should be manageable. And the reason I suggest about 3 pages is because next Wednesday, your rough draft is due, which I'm asking to be about 7 pages. Okay, so if you write about 3, maybe 4 pages by this Sunday, then you'll have several days to add to that and get to the 7 pages when the rough draft is due. And then between when the rough draft is due and the final draft is due, you'll be able to add the last few pages, revise it, and turn it in at the full 10 pages, hopefully. So That's what we're doing this week. In addition to giving you some strategies for introductions, I've also listed on that same worksheet some strategies for conclusions, because I know that's another aspect of writing an essay that can be really, really hard. Now, this week, when you're just starting the paper, you're not going to be using those strategies for conclusions because you're not ready to write your conclusion yet. However, as you move into next week and you're writing the rough draft and then the final draft, you might want to go back and make use of some of those strategies for conclusions. Now, some of them are actually similar to strategies for introductions, like you can open up a paper with a quote. You can end a paper with a quote too. You can open up the paper with a engaging, thought-provoking question, and you can actually end a paper with a thought-provoking question as well. But I will share with you what I think is my favorite strategy for concluding an essay, which is to look to the future of the topic. And that's not like I'm asking you to, have a crystal ball and be psychic or something, but think about your topic. Now, for example, if you're talking about like racism in America, right? You probably spent some of your paper talking about the background history of it. And you probably spend the bulk of your paper talking about its present day incarnation, maybe talking about the criminal justice system or racism in education or any of those things. But then maybe in your conclusion at the very end of your paper, you can address or speculate about what do you think might happen in the future regarding racism in the next 5 years, 10 years. What does the evidence and data point to? What do we think might happen with this? And the other thing you can do sort of along the same lines is sort of think about what further research needs to be done. So let's say you have a younger brother or sister and they're going to be writing a paper about racism in 5 or 10 years. What kind of questions should they consider? What kind of research should they do? What should their research focus on in the next, 5, 10 years? So I just wanted to share. I mean, I gave you a whole list of different conclusion strategies, but for me, that's one of my favorites, I think, because it wraps up the paper nicely, and it also is a pretty scholarly way to end, because in a way you're setting the stage for the next researchers to kind of do their work. Okay, but again, take a look at that in the folder this week. It has a whole bunch of different strategies for introductions, whole bunch of strategies for conclusions. And again, this is all just to help you write the draft of your research paper. Okay, I've included a few other things in this week's folder to help you out, like an example of an annotated bibliography, the link to Purdue OWL, which is that website with all different MLA citation help, everything you can ever dream of for MLA help is there. And also I've included in the announcement below a couple links that were created by one of our librarians, Martin Crabtree. He created 2 short videos about MLA format, formatting your works cited page in Google Docs and in Microsoft Word. So if you're kind of struggling with just the formatting, like the hanging indent, you still never got the hang of that, or I just made a little pun, right? You never got the hang of the hanging indent. Nice little teacher pun there. Okay. If you never got the hang of that, or for example, like you want to put your sources in alphabetical order, but you don't want to have to go through like the whole actually trying to sort them by yourself, there might be a kind of tip or trick that Martin Crabtree will show you in the video to do that really quickly. So take a look at those if you need extra help with your formatting. And I think that's about it. So again, we're getting so close to the end, so please don't give up now. I'm here to help you. I want you to reach out to me. I've heard from a lot of you, but not everyone. So again, please just don't be afraid. I mean, if you don't need my help, that's great. But if you do, please don't be afraid to reach out to me. I'm here for you. And again, make use of the tutoring, make use of the library. I can't wait to read your research papers. Actually, I know that sounds maybe a little strange, like I want to sit there reading hundreds of papers, but I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about your topics. For me, the end of the semester is always the most fun, because hopefully the topic you picked is something you're interested in and that you're passionate about, and maybe that even relates to your life, and so it's always a little more interesting to read those than kind of the earlier essays where I give you the topic and you just have to write about it. So I'm excited to see you guys dive into this, and I'm here to help you along as you get through these last 2 weeks. So please reach out to me. Take care, stay safe, and try to find some joy in quarantine life. And I will talk to you soon. Oh, and we gotta have our little puppy at the end. Here's Teddy. Bye bye. Have a good week.